Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Niners Coast to Coast. We got my guy Bryant BC over here, Bryant Culp. Got Ty Alston and special guest TL down here. Normally he's on 49 Faithfully podcast with Mariah. How we all doing
What
today?
up? Doing good, fellas.
Yeah, I'm doing good as well. I appreciate you guys having me on. I know Bryant was trying to get me on a Friday night, which is tough for me because I actually work on a Friday night. I'm a youth counselor at a juvenile detention center, and I do the night checks and I make sure the kids are being okay and not trying to commit suicide and giving counseling and stuff like that. So it's kind of tough for me to work on. But I am off on Sunday, Mondays, and Tuesdays. So if you guys want me on any of those days, those are the best days they have me on. So having me on a Monday was perfect. So I appreciate it.
Nice.
Awesome. Yeah, lots happened with us so far this off season. It's kind of said Eric Armstead, didn't want to restructure his contract. He's like, and I've seen reports that they mutually agreed to part ways.
Yeah.
Which, okay, I could see that happening, but at the same time, last season, he missed 5 games. The season before that, he missed 8 games. So, and the foot issue he has, the plantar fasciitis, that's not going away.
No.
So, this is why I think the 49ers approached him and asked him to, take a pay cut, restructure, whatever they said. But either way, he chose to leave. But then, the free agency period hit. I mean, what are your thoughts on what they've done with that defensive line? I honestly think depth-wise, it's a better unit at this point.
Well, for me, I would say that, when you can get 3 guys to equal the pay of one guy, and one of the guys that you paid has been healthy since 2018, hasn't missed a game, and has averaged 10 sacks a game, I love that. Because we do need that other edge rusher, to be opposite of Bosa that is actually going to stay healthy. D Ford probably would have been amazing if he was healthy. But the fact that he wasn't, now you get a Randy Gregory, or sorry, not Randy Gregory. Oh my God,
we just got rid of him.
We got rid of him. Yeah,
we just let him go.
When you get Floyd, when you bring in Floyd,
Leonard Floyd.
Floyd. Yeah, when you bring in Floyd, it's a way, to me, like I said, and I think the thing that makes me happy the most is health. Like, those guys have been relatively healthy, and everybody kept talking about all offseason. Oh, let's go get Danielle Hunter and all this other stuff. And I'm just like, yeah, cool. You can pay a $28 million to Danielle Hunter, but if he gets hurt, then what? We're going to be in the same position we always are, trying to see what we can get out of Drake Jackson, trying to see what we get out of Robert Bill, all this other stuff. So the fact that, we got these 3 guys interior, and it's funny, I think Ryan Hensley put up the production from what's his name, the guy from Cleveland. It was pretty similar to what Eric Armstead.
Jordan Elliott.
Oh,
Jordan Elliott. My bad.
Malik Collins is Texas.
From
Texas,
Texas,
Jordan Elliott.
Right.
Yeah, it was pretty similar. And same thing with Jordan Elliott. He's been healthy. So, I'd hate to see Armstead go. I was always a big advocate of we made the wrong trade for the defensive tackle spot. I was always a fan of DeForest Buckner and stuff like that. But, Eric Armstead, he's been solid. He's been a stand-up guy, but sometimes you just have to, you've been going to the playoffs with him every year. Super Bowl is not working. And to me, I was always under the impression that, after that 1 year when he was healthy and he got paid, when we had D Ford, DeForest Buckner, and Nick Bosa as a rookie, and he got that contract, he was healthy all 16 games. He contributed, had over 10 sacks. I was expecting that from him going forward, especially when we got Hargrave. I thought when we got Hargrave, that was like, man, they're going to double team Bosa, double team Hargrave, Eric Armstead on single man. He should dominate. Unfortunately, I don't think he really did. But the D-line as a whole, to me, was unimpressive anyway. But yeah, like I said, he's been a stand-up guy. It sucks to lose him. He was drafted here. He's been here for 7-8 years now, whatever. But I think it's time for 9. Dang. So I think it's time for a change, in my opinion, on that defensive line. Because when you keep bringing in the same scheme over and over again, the same type of guys, people have more and more film on you, and it hasn't been working. Yes, it's working as far as winning games, but it hasn't worked as getting us the ultimate goal of getting that 6th Super Bowl. So that's my opinion on the situation.
Yeah, they just wanted to get younger and healthier on the D line.
Yeah,
that's all it was. Let's get younger and healthier on the D line. And, I've said this before, and we have said this, everybody's like, the defense is just different this year. There's something different about it. The difference was the quality of depth that we had, right? Once you get past the Eric Armsteads and the Javon Hargraves and the Nick Bosas, it's a big drop off. The quality just isn't there. So you saw what they did. Let's refill not only the starting defensive linemen, but also the backups as well. Let's get a young quality guy there that could come in and keep this thing going while our starter takes a rest. And that's what they did. And I agree with you, TL. If you could get 3 guys for the price of 1, 3 quality guys with high motors, good football skills, they're relentless, and they stay healthy, they play every game, that's a win. That's a win-win-win. There's no doubt about it. So they were very smart in what they did this offseason, and as far as Armstead, it was just the business of football. That's all it was. The team wanted him to pay cut. He was like, hey, I'm not taking a pay cut. I've already deferred money for you guys. I've played through injury. I was outside. I moved inside. I've done everything you guys want me to do. Just let me get paid. Pay me what you owe me. The contract is signed, right? We both agreed on it. Pay me. They didn't want to do that. Like, hey, well, we got to go our separate ways. That's all it is. It's just the business of football, and it happens all the time. So he was great for us. I loved what he did. He did a lot of the dirty work that people don't give him recognition for in there. But hey, these changes happen, and it's time to move on. We've retooled, and we're moving forward.
Right.
Well, it's funny because we cover the Niners, if you want to say, or follow the Niners. We're pretty hardcore, all of us, into reading about them, tweeting about them, talking about them. We probably talk to our family about them all, too much, right? So like the narrative last year was the Niners have one of the best rosters in the NFL. And then they even said their depth, the depth of the Niners roster is, that's what makes us one of the best rosters in the NFL. But we realized it, or maybe some of us realized it. Some of the players we lost last year before the start of the season, you take away Wilkes coming in and the defense taking a different scheme a little bit. We lost players. We lost key players that made tackles and did things for us, and they were key components in the locker room. So it's like, okay, people say break up the Cabo click, but when you break up the defense click, and I don't know what you call the defense, I don't know where they go, but you get what I'm saying. When you break up the guys that's been playing together, when you can close your eyes and David's over here, and you can close your eyes and TL's over here, and Ty, I know you're doing what you need to do, and I don't even have to see you to believe you. I don't have to hear you because we've been playing together for so long. Yeah. That's what's sad is it's like you get to a point, you start rooting for a team, and all these guys are growing together, and they get to a point. So with Eric Armstead leaving, yeah, it's sad because maybe it was the fear of him being injured and us going again without having him on the field, his price tag being what it is. It is sad. It's like when you do have one really good player, you go for that home run hit. You can depend on him. But Eric Armstead is getting to the point where we couldn't depend on him. He was just being injured too often. When he's there, he's great. Nobody can fault him. But when you're not there, then you're hating the man because you're thinking about how much money he's making and how much we're paying him not to be available, right? So, at a certain point, hey, let him go. If he thinks he can go to Jacksonville and get paid again, which he's basically doing, and maybe he'll have a better career there, maybe he won't. It doesn't matter at this point because, I think that's the problem with right now of the contracts is it's the guarantees. So we are talking about how the defense has changed. We talked about how the rules have changed and stuff like that. It's because they don't want to pay the guarantees anymore. So they're going to make it where these guys, if they get hurt, we're not cutting them right away. And we already know that. But that's why they're trying to change the kickoff rule. They're trying to change all these things because now they're paying quarterbacks so much money. And if they get hurt because somebody does a drop and they pull down the player in the wrong way, before we didn't care about that, right? We wanted to see the quarterback get hurt and out, boom, right? But that's the end of the 90s, right? We're now into the 2000s and 20s, right? So now we care about these players getting hurt because football is starting to die. And now with these defense changes and stuff like that, it's not the same game. It's not the same game at all. So we got to do something to keep this together, right?
Yeah.
Brian actually brings us into the next topic. The hip drop. The hip drop tackle.
Yeah.
Pretty much every example I saw of this, and I watched what the NFL showed what was the competition committee.
Yep.
And it was like they're just wrapping up and they're tackling. Like this is standard practice. Every season this happens all game long. Like every single player in the league that plays defense, even guys on special teams that don't play defense, they all do it. So, like, what is this going to do now? You can't tackle a guy anymore.
Did they get past
a few
run free?
People, yeah. But a few people have said, here comes flag football. But I've been saying flag football is too dangerous because you got to grab something and yank it off. You're looking at two-hand touch.
Oh, man.
It'd be rough two-hand touch. If that's the case, sign me up.
Yeah. That's.
But yeah,
Hey,
what do you think of that, TL? The hip drop tackle, they can't do it anymore.
It's pretty unfortunate, actually. It's like you remember when they first made the change for the quarterbacks of how you hit the quarterbacks. You've seen a lot of people. It took a couple years before people started getting comfortable. You see a lot of people would get close to the quarterback and kind of hesitate, like, should I hit him? Like, stuff like that. Then the quarterback would run for a first down. It might be something on this situation, like, how am I going to hit this guy? How am I going to tackle him? I told you guys backstage, like, me playing football. I played football from the time I was 8 to the time I was 22 years old. From Pop Warner to elementary school, high school, and even some JUCO. Okay, I was always taught. My junior high coach was always like, he loves the big hit, but he was always a wrap up, and you fall down to their ankles, and then you take them down. That was the easiest way because even if you can't get the tackle, you got help coming because you slowed the man down. So that's how I was always taught to wrap up. Big hits are nice, but now it's like kind of like the hip drop. It's kind of the same thing. You're getting the guys and you're taking them to the ground. You're not purposely trying to hurt them. You're just trying to, hey, let me get you down safely. And it's unfortunate. I've seen some videos of like, who was it, Dre Greenlaw when he did it to Tony Pollard in the Cowboys Niners playoff game.
I thought it was Jimmy
Tony
Ward.
Pollard broke his ankle.
Whoever it was. It was Tony Pollard.
But this is one of those things where it's like they just, and it's not intentional. But you guys are right. Like, I love the game of football. And what makes me love it is the physicality of it. I love the physicality. It's funny. Everybody always asks me, who's one of your favorite wide receivers? And not the best, but like an Anquan Bolden, Hines Ward, them guys that sit there and will beat you up and will hit you with a nice block and stuff like that. I just love those type of guys who are in their physical. Dre Greenlaw's another one, physical. I love those type of players, and it sucks because it kind of changes their game because you were taught to play football a certain way, and every year I seem like it's something. Let me change this. Let me change that. And I get it. You want to protect the players. I get it, but this is the reason why injuries happen. That's the game of football. So, it's taking away some of the love and some of the passion from some people because like you said, David and Bryant, it's like going to come to a time I was like, well, dang, it's going to be two-hand touch. It's going to be flag football. You're already saying it around the country for the youth. They're trying to change the way they play football. They're taking away tackle football and just giving them just learn how to play flag now. You can learn how to play tackle when you get into junior high or middle school, which is unfortunate. So I don't know, man. It sucks. It's not like I'm saying I'm going to stop watching it, but man, I love those physical plays. And now people are going to be thinking twice. So like you grab somebody by their waist, chasing somebody, you grab them by their waist to tackle them. Now what? Now it's not even just let me take them to the ground. Now you're going to be thinking too much. What am I gonna do? How am I gonna drop him? And it sucks, to be honest. I don't like this rule, but hey, it is what it is. So you got something to say, Brian?
Be grabbing a hold of one leg and just yanking on the guy. Or we all saw that hit. Lenore put on Swift in the Eagles game.
Mm-hmm.
Swift ran into a concrete wall. That's the type of thing defenders are going to start doing because they can't wrap a guy up. And we all saw Swift laying on the ground, not wanting to get up. So, it's like the NFL, that's the kind of direction you're heading here.
But right? you can't always make a big hit. That has to come with trajectory and where you are and things like that.
Can't lead with your helmet. You can't
like
hit him in the face or
Like
You know?
if I'm pursuing a guy and I'm coming from the side, right? And he's running, I might not be able to just flat on hit him. I might have to tackle him, wrap him up. When I was younger and playing football, I was a small wide receiver corner. I was little, right? But I was fast. Ha ha. And Patrick Willis, I could beat you in a race. But I was fast. So I was taught, hey, hit, wrap, and just use your body weight to tangle him up and go down. And one coach actually taught me, hey, drop to your knees so that your weight is coming down and you can help pull the guy down. At the most, like TL said, the same thing. At the most, you at least slow him up and allows help to come. But you dropping your weight. And I'm sure that's the way a lot of these guys have been taught since their youth, right? This is football. You're supposed to tackle a guy and bring him down. Part of that is using your body weight. This is the same tackle that's been going on since the beginning of time.
Mm-hmm.
I think because you've seen these lower leg injuries happen and things like that, a lot of owners are starting to complain like, hey, some of my star players are getting injured here. This should be outlawed. One owner in particular has had 2 of his players injured with this rule. Tony Pollard, and remember a few years ago, Dak Prescott.
And Terrence Williams too. Remember that?
Terrence Williams, I remember he tore his leg up. I remember
Yeah.
that one. I was looking at that game and his leg was pointing in a totally different direction.
Yes.
But that was ugly. But I was thinking about when Dak Prescott got his leg broken that season. A guy did the same thing, pulled him from the side and just dropped all his weight, broke Dak's leg. That's Jerry Jones. It happened twice to 2 of his star players.
Yeah, it's true.
Guess who was at the forefront of the committee probably saying, hey, this needs to go. but it's a shame that it's happening because now you're relying on these refs to govern things. And we've seen the rule with hitting the quarterback, how they govern that. It's a pure crap show sometimes. So I think this is going to be the same way. We're going to see some stupid flags over routine tackles.
Yeah.
And it's going to make the game very frustrating. You know how good of a tackler Fred Warner is. Imagine him doing a great form tackle on someone, taking somebody down, and he gets a flag for it. Oh, it's going to be frustrating.
You know what's funny, before you guys go, I think the only rule change that I really agreed with was horse collar.
Mm-hmm.
I think horse collar was the only one that I felt like, okay, yeah, that one was a nice change and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But man, like you said, though, everything else, the quarterback hit, this hip drop, all this other stuff, is getting ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead, BC.
Yeah, it's getting hard for the players to play.
So when I was in football, I only played in high school for a short period of time. I played special teams. I was a backup quarterback, but they, wanted me to learn how to tackle. They wanted me to learn how to catch. If you look at the yearbook, it says I was a wide receiver. I wasn't that fast, but I had heart. Okay. But when they were trying to teach me how to tackle, right, they told me wrap up and put my arms around, but they said, be careful because you'll break your arms if you land on the guy the wrong way, if he falls on your arms. So be careful. So I was like, okay, so people would say when you tackle, you kind of like hit them hard and then you let go, but you still fall on their chest. And, like you use your body weight to land on them, but you want to kind of have your hands out.
Yeah.
So to me, it sounded like you're almost trying to fly or something. You're trying to run up and hit them as hard as you can, grab them and then let go and like still land on them. And it worked. It really did. But now with everything changing, and I'm because of NFL films, I seen Terry Bradshaw get dipped on his head, and no penalty. I've seen some nasty calls, right? And then, to hear the way the rules have changed, I'm a big Steve Young fan. And then to know that he would still be probably playing in the NFL today, maybe a couple of years retired. Okay, we'll be honest. But he would still be playing for a very long time in the NFL if the rules were favored to him. Tom Brady wins the Super Bowl, right? Kurt Warner loses a Super Bowl. The rules start to change because of that tuck rule. Then when Tom Brady's knee gets hurt, then the rules change because they're trying to, let's protect the face of the franchise, the NFL, the league, right? And then here we go. Everything from there. You know, we seen the adjustments in the defense. How you were talking earlier too about the pass coverage of about 5 yards. The bump and run. They take that away, and so a lot of the things have started to change. And it's sad because now we're at the point where defense is really not defense anymore. It's going to be, let's see how fast the offense can get down the field, and the defense, don't worry about them tackling, because if they can't tackle you with their chest, basically, number to number, they're not taking you down. If you get past their shoulder a little bit, they're not going to be able to stop you, because at that point they kind of have to let go. They can't twist you. They can't stop you.
Yeah.
Dude, think about what a guy like Debo is going to be able to do to a defense that's not going to be able to wrap them up. You know, it's straight up that they've already favored the offense big time. And, the Tom Brady and Steve Young, shout out to them, but you can't hit a quarterback in his head anymore. Carson Palmer in the playoffs, I know you guys all remember that gruesome hit. And that was to his knee. And then on next thing you know, you can't hit a quarterback in his knees. You got to hit him, in
no.
Torso, like in the torso area. Right? Yeah.
That was because of Carson Palmer.
Yes, Tom Brady.
Carson Palmer got hit in the knee. League ain't say nothing. Tom Brady gets hit in the knee the exact same way as Carson Palmer. And the league is like, you know what? This is illegal. Remember that Carson Palmer got hit the same exact way in the playoffs against the Steelers. At that was a great rivalry game about to go down.
Yeah,
league ain't saying, Pete, Tom Brady gets hit week 1 the exact same way, and the league's like, well, we got to change this rule immediately. Poor Carson.
Yeah. He was a good QB after that, but never take off out of the pocket threat that he was before that knee got hit, But and they're talking about one more rule change that I know nothing about. I was going to ask BC, so when he gets back, we'll see what he knows about it. But the kickoff rule, what the crap? The guy's got to line up. I read something about it, and I am just confused. So our players can line up on their 40, but they can't move until the guy catches the ball?
So
how does this work?
What?
The idea is all the high collision impact hits, because they're running from one side of the field basically to the other side and trying to, torpedo somebody, right? They're trying to really take somebody down. So because they've looked at punts in the past and said the analytics doesn't show people getting injured the way they are. So they're thinking if they're starting up right against each other, then the impact isn't going to be the same. They're still going to get hit. They're still going to have that, wear and tear or whatnot, but it's not going to be, a targeted or, more of a juggernaut kind of hit. Right. So they're going to start out, and the only 2 people that can move is the kicker and the kick returner.
Right.
And there's going to be a dead ball spot. It's I'm not in favor of it at all. If anybody's watching, you shout out to Pat McAfee. You can go check him out. He's done a whole big old talk about it. He's one of the best punters ever in the history of the NFL. And this guy did kickoffs, did onside kicks. And that's another thing they've taken away from us is the onside kick. For somebody like me, who's a big special teams guy, I was a field goal kicker in high school. For people not to be able to have that ability to change the game, I mean, a lot of people miss out because they get up and they go get a soda during the game, right? Right there. And, oh, man, they just kicked off, or we're switching sides. I'm going to go get, and that's when you miss out. You're like, oh, I missed the kickoff. I missed the touchdown. What happened? And that's the gamble. That's like, oh, man, do I leave right now or do I not? So most of the time, nothing happens on kickoff and everybody's happy. But those times that something happens, but they're making it safer for the game. Pretty soon be flag football.
So we're not allowed to just surprise onside kick in the first anymore?
Nope.
So is it like when are you allowed to onside kick now? I mean, that's kind of we've all seen teams, and like Sean Payton did it when he was with the Saints. He'd just surprise onside kick. They'd be lined up like they're kicking it off, and he'd surprise onside kick. You know, we've seen this happen quite a few times here and there, just random. But now that's not part of the game.
Yeah.
Right?
About,
What
they
is it, like
completely
the
took it
last
out.
5 minutes of the game? Is it like, and you have to announce we're onside kicking? The fact that your team's lined up like you're onside kicking isn't announcing it.
Like everybody can see it coming. Ray Charles can see it coming, right?
Helen Keller knows what's going on.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
oh man, I didn't even hear that rule. And
yes,
shout out to BC. No wonder why you're such a Jake Moody fan. You were a kicker. That makes sense.
Yeah.
That I didn't even hear about these two changes. This is absolutely ridiculous. You know what's sad too? It's like, you know, special teams used to be that. Special teams is exactly what it is, special, because you don't know what's going down. You don't know if somebody's going to onside. You don't know what side. Some people can line up 9 guys on one side of the field and then one on one side and run. Now everybody's so uniformity. That's why we don't see no more dynamic kickoff returns. Remember back in the day, the Devin Hesters, the Dante Halls,
we talked about this.
The Ted Gins. We used to see some dynamic kickoff and punt returns. Now we don't see that anymore, probably because everybody knows what you're going to do.
Yep.
Oh, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And like now it's like I said, it's just, it's sad. Like I don't know. I'm speechless about those rules. Like you said, not only person. And you know what's funny? You guys say, oh, it's because they want to take away the, you know, people running all the way down the field and getting that good hit. Some people have a faster 10-yard sprint than they do a 40-yard sprint.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm hitting you with 10 yards, I might be hitting you harder than I am running full speed going down the field.
That initial takeoff.
Yeah, exactly.
At least full down field, you decelerate some.
Yeah.
You know, guys get tired. And that 10 is full go.
So let me get this straight. Let me make sure I heard this correctly. So you can line up on the opponent's 40, and if they catch on the 25, then you can run. So you get 15 yards to hit somebody. Is that what you're saying, Bryant?
I believe they still have the fair catch rule in place, and you're not allowed to move until the punt returner moves. The kicker and the punt returner.
Or it's like the punt or the kick returner touches the ball, or the ball hits the ground.
Yep.
That's what I read, and I'm going.
Okay.
You know,
and this is lining up on their 40, right? You said that.
Yeah.
You said?
Yes.
So basically, they can catch it at the 25, and as soon as they catch at the 25, you got as soon as they touch, you got 15 yards to try to get to them.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Huh. That's
I don't know if we're ever going to see a kickoff return for a touchdown again. I'm kind of disappointed.
I don't remember seeing more than 2 or 3 last year. Do you guys? Like, you know, watching the highlights and stuff, I don't remember people punt and kickoff returning the football. It's just it's crazy, man. I don't know. Like I said, I mean, I get it. You know, I'm all about safety and stuff like that, but man, I mean, and who knows? Maybe with a 15-yard cushion, you might not see too many fair catches. So you might see more people trying to be like, oh, I got 15 yards. Let me see if I can make a move.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. I mean, I guess we'll have to see and wait till it plays out. But you know, the onside kick thing is asinine. That's unbelievable. Like to be able to tell people when and when they can't kick an onside kick is crazy to me. So that's all I'll say about that. Give it to you, Ty and David. But that's wild to me.
Yeah. Part of what makes the NFL exciting, makes this game of football exciting, is the trickeration. We didn't see that coming. Wow, I can't believe they called that, right? That wow factor. An onside kick is part of that. Whether it's called and you see it coming or you don't see it coming. Either way, it's one of those wow things. Because if it works, you know, it's like it happens in a big moment normally, right? And you're like, oh my God, they have possession again. They can take the lead or tie the game, something like that. It brings excitement to it. You're taking away an excitement element from the game. And for what?
Player safety?
Player safety. But you added another game onto the entire year, putting their bodies at risk more. And you even have talked about adding another game, going into an 18-game season.
Oh boy.
So where's the player safety in that? You see how it doesn't make sense? How the league just doesn't make sense. They can try to say all they want. It's player safety, but it doesn't make sense at the end of the day.
Well, they're gearing up to make it make sense. And the reason they're doing that is last year with the kickoff rules that they changed, they wanted everybody to fair catch it so they could show that the concussion rate's down.
Well,
And we were talking about this last year, me and David in the mornings and stuff with Corey, everybody. They were talking about concussions. Get them down, get them down. So now they've implemented this new rule and they vote on it tomorrow. If it goes through, then kickoff's almost eliminated, basically, because the guy's going to catch it at the 25 already. He's going to be told not to run. He's going to be told don't fair catch it. And boom, that's it, right? The team's going to trot out there on the field. They've changed the rules today for the defense to be able to tackle. So now it's predominantly offense. You're only going to be watching the offense. If you're a defensive player, why would you even grow up and want to play on the defense? Why? Offensive tackles now are the highest paid player on basically besides the quarterback. Defensive tackles and edge players, they might still have a need, but to be a corner or be a linebacker or a safety, why would you want to do that? And why would you want your kids to grow up and do that? That's what now is really upsetting is football players nowadays are on vocal. And I don't care. You can say what you want. It's free speech. But they are on record coming out and saying, I don't want my kid playing football.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So you made this generational money. Now you can put your kid through college and stuff. Great. You kept them from going through the military life. Perfect. But now, instead of continuing this great sport that got you paid and got your family to a better situation, now you're slowly killing it. I don't get it.
There's always going to be people playing football. That's not going to change no matter what they say. And we see in this year's draft how there are a lot of juniors and sons coming up playing football. So that's never going to change. But I want to talk about one thing you touched on.
But real quick, if they keep changing the rules, it's not football anymore.
Well, yeah, that's just a basic element of the game. That's
right. It's not football.
I'm not arguing that. I'm just saying, guys saying, I don't want my kid playing, but kids still play. It's just a great game. You can't stop it. But I want to touch on one thing you mentioned, and that's the whole concussion protocol thing. It's the CTE element. And remember when the whole investigation about CTE came out, blah, 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 blah. One thing the league did to try to backpedal and cover their tracks was say, oh, this is mostly because of the kickoffs. It's because of the wedge busters. And for guys that don't know, back in the day on a kickoff, the return team used to form this wedge. They would lock arms and literally form this wall to get their players upfield. And guys, there used to be guys on the kick coverage team. Their one job was just to run straight downfield and bust this wedge. That's what they were. They were just guys that they were basically a wrecking ball, and they would go down and bust up this wedge. And the league said that's too violent. That's what's really causing the concussions in the CTE and stuff like that. We're going to change the rules. And they outlawed the wedge. And then they said, okay, we got to change it even more because they're still finding players with CTE, right? Okay, you can move the kickoff up to the 25, right? Remember, you used to kick off from the 20. Let's move it to 25. So now you got more kickoffs going to the back of the end zone. Guys aren't returning it. Whew, we're safe. We're good. Now here we are again. They're still trying to say, it's because of the kickoffs. It's because of the kickoffs. Let's change the rule yet again. It doesn't make sense. It all doesn't make sense at the end of the day. And the league just really needs to man up and say what's really going on.
Well, yeah. And two, it takes away the skill of the special teams guys. Like, people don't understand when you kick off to somebody, you gotta sift through trash to try to get to your guy. You know what I'm saying? So you're sitting there getting off blocks and all this other stuff trying to execute together. Now it's just like, okay, let me sit here and wait. Okay, he caught the ball. Now let me run. Like that right there. Yeah. To me, it takes away the technique of special teams. Yeah. You used to see guys like, who was that guy from the I think his name was Slater. Matthew Slater. Remember him? He was a perennial Pro Bowler for the special teams. You would see that man, you would see that man on kickoff. He'd be going out there to tackle. He'd get sometimes knock off 3 guys. Nope, get out of here. Get out of here. To get to the tackler. I mean, to get to the offensive player holding the ball. And that's a skill. But now it's like, man, like it's just I don't know. It's just I'm just shaking my head at it because it's unbelievable that they're taking away certain elements of the game that made us, fans in the first place.
Yeah.
But yeah, I got to shout out the chat. We got a 49ers Ultimate Report. What up, John Jay? What's going on, buddy? And we got our Friday night show co-host, Kenny. He said he'd be interested in watching a show called Toast to Toast too. Just saying. That's Kenny. That's Kenny for you.
That's Saturday morning with coffee and toast.
Coffee and toast.
Yeah. We got On Show 49er Media. He's in here. What's up, buddy? Carcast. What's good?
What's
A
good,
bunch
player?
of people with YouTube channels, Oh,
Supporting
there she is.
each
The
other.
better
That's what it's
half.
about. The queen.
Happy Monday evening.
Exactly.
I got to keep going, too. There's a bunch of people I missed. I'm just starting at the top, working my way down. Oh, there's Damien. It's good, man. It's a good friend.
In the house.
He lives 10 minutes walking distance from Cowboy Stadium.
Wow.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah. When Cowboys games happen, people try to park in his yard, and
I bet they do.
he doesn't. He'll
I've
have
been out
nothing to
there.
do
I've
with
seen
that.
people
I'll tell you that
trying
right
to
now.
pull
I
up.
would let him.
Yeah,
$75 to park in my yard.
exactly.
How bad
Charge
do you
him.
want it? How bad do you want it?
Charge him. Exactly. Make some
There's
cash off them
Daniel Barry. He
cowgirls.
does a whole bunch of shorts. Oh, the guy with the best hat, best 49er hat, Captain Jason. Not
Jason,
right there. There's
what's
that
up,
hat
buddy?
too. He was actually on right before us.
Cool.
Hey, there's this guy that everybody knows, Bryant Culp.
He's everywhere.
He is.
He's in the stream. He's in the
all the
chats.
chats. He is though. He's in all the chats. Dang, I ain't even halfway down. But there's Corona. He actually lives in Corona, California. David Corona.
Does he really?
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. That's funny, huh? But I know I saw Don Dotson up here. Oh,
I saw Don.
a resident Ravens fan. There's Levi. He's a cool guy. Oh, look, Beto. What's good, buddy?
What up, buddy?
Dawn Dotson. She's in the
There
house.
she is.
She's faithful.
Mm-hmm.
She's everywhere too, just like that Bryant guy.
Yep.
But yeah, it's like, tomorrow. I kind of look at tomorrow like it's a big day because it could still get voted no. We could still see kind of a normal-ish kickoff going on. I'm saying normal-ish because back in my day, they would kick off, everyone's flying, hitting, the wedge was going on. A guy like Primetime would fake left, go right, and next thing you know, he's clearing everybody and he's in for the touchdown. Or then you saw Devin Hester. That guy was special. I believe, isn't he in the Hall of Fame? I believe isn't he in the Hall of Fame?
I believe
he just went in, recently. Yeah. Last year or two.
I mean, when it comes to what he did in the NFL, that's it. He wasn't a great – they tried him at wide receiver. He played a little bit of defensive back, but that special teams kickoff and punt
that's where he made his name.
That was his bread and butter,
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, I don't know if we're ever going to see anything like that again if this rule passes.
Yeah, they've taken it out.
So the guy catches the ball. They're all up. They're 15 yards away. So someone that has like Barry Sanders type of moves could possibly squeak through that.
Sure.
Yeah.
But how many of these returners are like Barry Sanders?
You're talking about special right there.
Yes.
That's the high end of the special meter.
Yeah. It's funny too. You even look at guys like who weren't obviously as good as Devin Hester as punt returns. You had like the Percy Harvins. Remember him? Somebody like him who used to run it back and stuff like that. And I don't, I don't see those quick twitch guys doing that anymore because they're usually like making such an impact on your on your offense that you don't want them to get hurt now. So it's like,
Yeah.
man, I don't want
Yeah.
you to do that anymore. I want you to come and do this. And, so yeah, I think you're right, David. I don't think we see that again. Cordell Patterson, that's another one, who's pretty good at kickoff returns. Yeah, I don't think
Yeah.
we'll see that again just because, like I feel like somebody like a Christian McCaffrey, for instance, could probably get away with it because he's special when he has a ball in his hands.
Yeah.
However, he won't be used that way because he's too good for our offense.
Exactly.
You know
It
what I'm
means too
saying?
much.
So
It means
he
too
means
much.
too much. So yeah, I don't know, man. You're right. I think the old special teams of the Ted Gins, Devin Heschers, the Dante Hawks from Kansas City. I remember he went 4 straight games with the punt return for a touchdown.
Yep.
I remember that. Like they were like, oh, if he can go
Yep.
5, he'll break the record. And he didn't do it. But yeah, it's like one of those things where I used to get to the edge of my seat when Devin Hester would catch the ball.
Yeah.
Like, oh, what's gonna happen?
Like
Ted
they're gonna
Ginn,
kick it to him? Oh man.
oh, cool. Let me see what's gonna happen. So yeah, I think those days are dead, man. I think we're finished seeing those special returners run back kick and punt returns, which is sad.
Well, we got Bebop. Shout out to him in the chat. He's actually he actually starts up my next subject with the beef the line up. The O-line, the one thing that I can't say we've invested heavily into. We did get Trent Williams pretty much for a bag of chips. Shout out to John Lynch for pulling that trade off,
Yeah.
But then we're paying the man now, It is what it is. He's worth it. But then the rest of the line, you got Aaron Banks, and he's solid.
Yep.
Did you get Jake Brendel? I view him as average. He is much better this last season than he was the season before.
Yeah.
But he's still getting pushed around if he tries to take a guy on one-on-one, Burford, he's young. He's got room to grow, right? And McKivit's on the right side. Pretty much center over. I look at we could do some investing here, and we have this QB who runs Kyle's system very well. He knows when to squirt out of there and run, take off running, and he has the athletic ability to actually do it.
Yeah.
But we also saw what happens when he's not protected. Hassan Reddick going in the championship game and, hitting his arm, right?
That was his fault. Come on now.
That was Purdy's fault?
That was Purdy's fault. He held on to the ball too long.
He should take it.
It's true. It's true. Let's call it like it is. We've called everybody else out on this show. He held on to the ball too long.
Yeah.
And just got his arm hit. It was just his arm. People act like he was blown up. It was one of those freak arm on arm hits. It happened.
He could have, tucked down a little bit and, saved himself from getting hit, but he thought he could throw the ball faster. Well, here's the thought. What if he would have made the throw and still got his arm hit?
Yeah, that could have happened too. That happens all the time in football. It happens.
He could have been tore up right after the pass. He decided to try to play hero ball and he got hurt. So
no, he wasn't playing hero ball. He just held on to the ball just a little too long.
He was waiting for Ayuk to come open though. He wasn't open yet.
He was about to break, or you don't wait for a guy to get open in the NFL. You throw him open. And every game this year, you can hear it on the telecast. They praised Brock Purdy for anticipating the throw, throwing before the guy comes out of his break. At the end of last season, this is one thing he wasn't doing well at the end of last season. He wasn't anticipating a guy coming out of his break. He was holding on to the ball a little too long. Great guys who have studied this game, like Greg Cosell, has even said so. So it's not just me throwing shade on him. This is actually what happened.
No,
this year he's progressed and he's doing it very well. But at the end of last season, that was just one of the knocks on him. It's one of the things he didn't do well.
But you bring up a good point. I am having fun with it. But he did the same mistake in the Super Bowl. That cost us that's why we had to kick the ball. If he would have thrown the ball and anticipated Ayuk coming open, he wouldn't have thrown the ball to Ayuk because he ran out of time. So he had the same mistake twice to end the season for him.
Well, remember, this is why
he got better at it. He definitely got better at it.
Most definitely.
counted the most. It wasn't the line's fault. It was him not anticipating and trusting Ayuk to come open.
Most definitely. And this is why, like, people like myself don't say Brock Purdy is elite. He's not on that elite level yet, because you still see some inconsistencies and growth that needs to happen in his game. Is he a darn good quarterback?
Absolutely.
Can he ball out? Can he definitely help us win in big games? Heck yes. Heck yes. I wouldn't trade Brock right now for anything other than Mahomes, maybe. But to say he's elite and he's Joe Montana and he's give him a gold jacket right now, I'm not on that level, because he still has a lot of growth to go through. And I'm sure it will happen. Remember, he's only played less than a season and a half. This is still a young player, but his potential is through the roof, and we've seen him just continue to get better and better. But we kind of got off subject here. We're talking about the O-line. My bad, y'all. My bad, y'all. That's my fault. My bad, y'all.
We just got hot takes going on in the chat here.
Yeah. O-line. We definitely got to do something with the O-line, because we saw in Super Bowl, if you want to point the finger at the defense all you want, hey, that's your prerogative. But it's the offense that really hurt us in the Super Bowl, and particularly the play of the offensive line. We signed Feliciano. He's coming back, and we saw he started the Super Bowl. And I think a big injury in the Super Bowl was him going out, because when he went out, that protection on the right side changed a bit. It wasn't the same. So we definitely got to do some beefing up there. We got to bring in some quality backup, some quality depth, even some guys who can challenge a Colton McKivitz maybe, or Jake Brendel, or John Feliciano, and Spencer Burford. Bring in some quality guys, some guys who played 4 years at right guard in college, and they're just like graded high, and let's see what they can do, right? Because we got to get better on the offensive line, especially to protect young Brock, because we're going to go as far as he can go. We see how he's going right now, so we got to protect him for sure.
And truth be told, he's young.
Yeah.
And he's got a lot of room to grow, but the thing is this next season is the season, that's between year 3 and 4 is when they're up for contract extension, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So this next season is the season, that's this is his payday season. So I'm hoping we're able to keep him healthy, which, like Bebop Jones said, beef up the line. I would love to see this happen. I've seen McKivitz play guard, and he didn't do bad. His main thing last year, you put a speed rusher up against McKivitz,
bingo,
he was going to get around him.
Yes.
But you put him up against a guy that has to go through him, they're not getting through him.
Yeah.
So, that equates to playing right guard better than he played right tackle.
Mm-hmm.
And, the mock drafts I've done, I'm doing an episode every Saturday night.
Oh, cool.
And so episode 3 is when I was crazy trading up. I did 3. I crazy traded up to get like J.C. Latham, or maybe even, there's 2 other guys whose names I have issues pronouncing. I'm not going to hack them up. And then, that one guy, Eric Alt or whatever, he's always gone like by pick 6, typically in these drafts. So, I traded up. I got J.C. Latham. The second draft, I traded up before the draft started, and the Cowboys jumped me and took my guys. Like they jumped me and took my guy, and the team before them took the other guy. It was like, uh-oh.
Yeah. You did the Cowboys. Did you like we did the Cowboys when we jumped in to take Jerry Rice? Huh?
Yep. That's the same thing that popped in my head.
Yeah, popped in my head. So, this offensive line,
Appreciate it. Joe.
Real quick, before I ask you guys a question, it's drawn a blank to me. What is the 49ers offensive line coach's name?
Chris Forrester.
Chris Forrester.
Thank
There
you,
go.
David.
I know it was a Chris. I couldn't remember the last name. It was Chris Casseret and Chris Forrester.
Right.
So let me give you guys one. Let me ask you guys a question. What do Alex Mack, Laken Tomlinson, Trent Williams, and Weston Richburg all have in common?
They're veterans.
Yeah, well, that's true. But we didn't. But they we didn't draft them.
Nope. We didn't
draft them. We brought them in.
Yep.
We traded for Lake. We traded for Laken. We traded for Trent. It worked out. We traded for Alex Mack. He was great for us for those couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
Weston Richburg was good when he was healthy, but we always bring in offensive linemen because we don't draft them. And here's my theory. People like to hate when I say stuff because I'm a diehard 49ers fan, but I call it like I see it. You know, I wish we had the capital like we did in 2010 when we both got Mike Iupati and Anthony Davis.
Oh yeah.
It wouldn't be sexy, but that's what we need.
That's
and
what
my
we needed.
theory,
And we
that's what
saw
we
how
need.
good
That's
they
what
were.
we need. And it's sad because you look at how Brock Purdy he got hurt, and I agree to a certain extent it was kind of his fault too. But the right side of that line has not been good for a while. You know what I mean?
Well, Brock Purdy aside, Josh Johnson.
Yeah,
Josh Johnson got hit from a rush right up the middle.
Oh my gosh, yeah. So you look at that, and then so the fact that you lose your quarterback with a serious injury, and then the following year you draft 0 linemen, crazy to me. So to me, my personal opinion, I think that his arrogance gets in the way a little bit because he feels he can plug and play. My offense is that dynamic. Somebody's always open that I believe that my quarterback will get the ball out in time so he doesn't get hit. That's how I feel. Could be true, could be not. I don't know. Because for you to lose your quarterback like that and not even bring in, I mean, yeah, you brought in John Feliciano, but if you didn't have all them picks and not draft one offensive lineman, and I get a little wary because we have you look at our lineman history. Mike McGlinchey, Nick Sakelj, and Nick Sakelj still has a chance to get better, but he was awful last year in training camp. But then you have the Aaron Banks, who's been good. But to me, I feel like offensive linemen, the quality ones always get drafted early. It's either first or second round. It's rare you get a 5th rounder who comes out and gives you Trent Williams or some kind of capable. You know what I'm saying? Somebody who's going to give you that kind of capability to protect your quarterback. So to me, I was hoping during this, the thing that I think I wanted during this offseason was to get a quality offensive lineman that can start 16 games for us. I know John Feliciano got brought back. I'm talking about somebody higher quality than him, and then draft somebody at 31 or move up because we got 10 picks now. We had 11. We used one on Collins. We have 10 picks. I don't see us using them all. I'd rather trade. I think you're right. I think you have to trade up from like 31 to maybe like into the top 20 somewhere to get yourself a quality lineman because I don't know how much of a drop off there is picking at 31.
Yeah.
Like I said, so it's hard. And not talking about interior line, I'm talking about like tackles. Good. I'm not saying we're not a good team, but good teams prepare for the future. Trent Williams said he's coming back for another year. That's a blessing. Because if he was leaving, oh my goodness, he said he was coming back for at least another year. We need to draft his replacement now. We should have drafted last year, but draft it now.
I'm with
whatever. So draft it now. So yeah, I'm worried about this offensive line. It is funny to me. I feel like Burford and McKivitz would probably do better if they switched. To me personally, I like Burford better as a tackle because he's more athletic. Like you said, David, the speed guys get to McKivitz, and I feel like when it comes to Spencer Burford, he struggles more with technique. He's learning. He's a 4th rounder. He's learning. But remember, he started 3 years at left tackle in college, so he's durable. He knows the position of tackle. He just needs to get more seasoned, in my opinion.
Yes.
So it's just one of those things where, like, what are we going to do? Like, I just hope at number 31 or so, we move up to like maybe 24, 23, something to get us a good offensive lineman. Because if you're going with the same offensive line, which I think that's going to start anyway. I think that's the offensive line that's going to start. Yeah. But it's worrisome that like our depth is terrible to me at offensive line.
Yep.
Terrible depth. Yep. Like I said, Nick Sakelj, Mike McGlinchey, Aaron Banks, Spencer Burford, Colton McKivitz. You've been out of all those picks, you've been lucky on one. And even though Mike McGlinchey played here for a few years and was solid, not worth the top 10 pick.
No.
And then you look at Aaron Banks, he's over exceeded expectations. He's doing really good as an interior offensive lineman. Now he's going to be going into another year. He's going to be better. So, yeah, the offensive line, I agree. We needed to beef it up like yesterday. Should have did it last year when we had more money, but I don't know, man. It's going to be interesting. And before I go, David, before I move on, I just wanted to bring up I know we were trying to move past it, but the Brock Purdy thing that Bryant and Ty was talking about, it's one of those things where, people, me as a Niners fan, I argue with my coworkers all the time, and they're always saying that, they think Brock Purdy is elite, which Ty said he's a great quarterback. He's good. He's really good. I can't put elite because to me, elite, you elevate your teammates. I don't know if I've seen that yet with my eye test. We got the best collective group of weapons on this team, so it's hard to say. But then this is what made me realize he wasn't elite yet. You lose Trent Williams, you lose Debo for 3 games. We go 0-3. Our points go from 31 to 17. That's a huge drop off.
In 3 straight
when you
games.
Still had Kittle, still had CMC, and you still had Ayuk and Juszczyk. So to me, you still should have been able to win, at least go 2-1 in those games. Our offense, it was a significant drop off when just 2 players being out when you still had elite weapons on the team. So that's what I'll say about that.
Right.
I think for the most part of the season, not to give an excuse, but I think groin injury for Kittle for almost the entire season was nagging him. I think the first 3 games, 8 games in the season, I think that was probably when it was most significantly seen. Debo getting hurt wasn't good for the weapons, and I understand all that. When you take these guys that you've been playing with regularly, and then you put in these rookies who you haven't been playing with hardly at all, I don't know. I guess you could still elevate them, but I definitely see that being a little bit more. And then when the offense says this is our playbook today and this is what we're running, and then the player that we are going to run it through is gone, then someone's scrambling to fill that person's shoes. But as far as the offense,
that's on Kyle.
That is on Kyle, because he should be able to make those adjustments. He should be able to flip the whole thing and say, okay, forget that playbook. That we're not doing those scripted 21 plays or 22 plays. We're playing backyard football. But that's not Kyle, right? Kyle's got to micromanage it or whatever. And that's not necessarily a bad thing either, right? But with you looking at our offensive line, everybody really, since Jimmy missed that throw in the Super Bowl, wanted a big arm quarterback. Since we let Kaepernick walk, everybody's like, okay, Kaepernick walked, but we still wanted a big arm quarterback, right? Well, we were in that. CJ could throw the ball pretty far down the field, but he couldn't stay upright. Everybody says beat hard, right? CJ beat hard because they beat the heck out of CJ. He was that quarterback we needed when Brian Hoyer seen ghosts on the field and stopped playing for the Niners, right? And that was early in the season. Early. We had a good team right there. We had Pierre Garçon. The Niners we played against, I want to say, the Rams, and we had like a 42-point game. And that was early. So we seen that the team could play with just misfits. But the idea with our offensive line is it's a running offensive line. So these guys aren't blocking very long. So you can see, okay, they're not going to put a lot of money into this because these guys got to be agile and they got to be moving and they need to develop. So these guys are starting now, are going to probably be starting in the next couple of years because they're developing that playbook. When you get a player that retires, our center retired, and then we get Trent Williams and stuff. The funny thing with Trent Williams in that position, there's more people who want to play left tackle because that's the money position. There's more right-handed quarterbacks. So that's got to be protected, right? So people don't even want to play right tackle. So if you get someone who's really good at right tackle, they don't ever get let go because that team holds them and pays them what they're expecting. So for us to get a offensive line, that it's going to take a very long time. We would have to start being like Dallas and draft a whole offensive line one whole year. And that's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. But we were almost there. It really, truly could happen because last year we just needed a kicker. This year we just need to play a kick returner. If they vote tomorrow, we won't need a kick returner. So maybe we just scrap and we go after an offensive line, right? But the reason that I don't think that happens is because, again, like you said, and everyone here agrees, the offensive line wasn't the thing that cost us the Super Bowl. We seen them target Debo, he kept dropping the ball. He wasn't catching the ball. You don't throw it to Debo when Ayuk's your better hands, right? But Ayuk, you can argue with me if you want, but you can go back and you can check it too. The defense, the Chiefs defense got under Ayuk's skin. They got into his head, and before they even snapped the ball, he had lost. So he wasn't getting open. So for Brock Purdy to stand back there again and make the same critical error, that mental error he had last year, except being injured, anticipating Ayuk coming open, why would you anticipate somebody coming open when they're arguing before the ball's even snapped? This is the Super Bowl, and you're arguing. That's the only knock I have on Ayuk is you weren't as professional as you could be. And I don't know how I would be in the Super Bowl, but that's the one thing, is you have to ice them out. You have to ice them out. You have to, play above. And for somebody to be elite, Brock Purdy's not elite. Ayuk's not elite either. Ayuk did not get open in the Super Bowl when we needed him to. He did not
open on that last play. I'll tell you that much.
He did not elevate our team when we needed it to. Debo, he got paid and forgot to come to play. And, it's sad. Maybe he can change his number to 1. Maybe it'll mean something. I'm not buying the jersey.
Yeah, so Kenny actually makes an excellent point. If we draft an O-line, they won't even play. Now, right. Kenny, so far, with Kyle, only his first round picks, they see the field. Anyone beyond that is redshirted.
That's the key.
So if we trade up and get a guy in the first round, chances are he's going to play. But if we don't, we stand pat and take a defensive lineman, which chances are pretty good this is going to happen. We all know the 49ers history here. Chances are good.
Loves his D lineman.
Then we end up taking a guy in the second and third round. We will not see them this next season.
Do you think, David, do you honestly think if let's just say we don't trade up, you think a player at 31, unless somebody slips, you think a player at 31 will really get playing time on that offensive line? Because I don't think so, because Kyle goes with people who are familiar with this system. And I feel like he's going to be like, well, I got to the Super Bowl. He's going to be like, I got to the Super Bowl with this offensive line. We just need to make some tweaks here and there. To me personally, I don't see it. And really, if you go back, Mike McGlinchey played early, and so did Bosa. All the other first round picks didn't really. Because like Ayuk, you remember what he said when Ayuk played as a rookie? He said the only reason why he played is because Mohamed Sanu and Trent Sherfield got hurt.
Yeah.
So, and he was a first round pick. So it's one of those things where it just depends. And they say this playbook and stuff is so complicated. I think if an offensive lineman is drafted even early, I personally agree with Kenny. I think he's there to be groomed for either Trent Williams or for McKivitz, because they're both now on 1-year deals. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think they'll redshirt him.
A guy I like. And I don't know where he's going to go. None of us know how the draft's going to fall.
No.
Right? None of us. This guy could be drafted 5th overall, right? But J.C. Latham.
Yeah.
I believe he's Alabama, right?
Yes, I believe so.
He's a name I hear a lot.
I believe so. I hear his name all the time.
At the combine, they measured him. He was 6'6", 335 pounds. Some of the draft simulators have him slightly different, a little heavier, a little shorter, but that's what the combine was. But he ran a 4.8540 at 335 pounds. Yeah. That's like, I mean that's a freak athlete, like similar to Trent Williams. When it comes to freak athlete, right? So that's the primary guy I was targeting when I was trading up.
Okay.
But, unless we trade up into the teens to get a guy like him, no, whoever we pick at 31's not starting.
Yeah.
Yeah. We normally redshirt these guys.
Yeah.
The only time I remember from recent history it happening was really Spencer Burford, and that's because we really had no one to play right guard at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So he had to be out there and play. And that's because, remember, Brunskill was injured, so Burford had to play.
He had to play.
But when Brunskill got healthy enough, that's when they started doing that. Okay, you get a couple of plays this series, and then we'll put the next guy in, and they were doing that split time crap. And TL, you said earlier, Spencer Burford just needs some seasoning. He needs some development. I think that whole splitting time thing, they did it the last 2 seasons with Spencer Burford. Splitting time has really hindered his development. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, they brought the entire offensive line back on purpose. They re-signed McKivitz, extended him,
Give him $7 million on top of that. That's
yeah,
not, you know,
exactly.
that's
Wanted
good
him
money.
back and brought Feliciano back to have continuity. Once again, have that same O line out there. So whoever they draft, I think they'll be redshirted unless they really blow them away in camp. They ain't seeing the field.
Well, on top of that, we don't know what Nick Zakel's going to become. He might not even make the team. He might be like Justin School, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it just seems like we have a history of investing into the D line, you know, very heavily.
It's John
Lynch. When it comes to the O line, we get our guy Trent Williams, and then, you know, we make a 2nd round pick with Aaron Banks, and then there's the rest.
Yeah,
you know.
As John Lynch, remember what John Lynch played behind. John Lynch sat there and sat there and saw, you know,
Warren Sapp and
Simeon Rice,
and
them guys up front, and he saw them get after it. So he's always like, "Hey, I want a big D line that could just go after it."
Well, I agree, but I also think like the formula was already there. We kind of did it the other day. Me and David ran back from the 94 all the way up to our last and only 1st round picks, right? The Niners, before we got Lynch and Kyle, we went Oregon, we got Buckner, we got Armstead, and then we got Solomon Thomas. You know, and then from there, it's like, so I think they've kind of walked in and said, okay, what do we need here? And then they said, we just need to approve right here and there. Once they got somebody like Bosa to put on the side, if we could have kept Buckner and Armstead and Bosa, like we had games, but it wasn't written into the stars. We just couldn't keep them together. So every year it's like right now with the mock drafts David's been doing, we get really lucky if we get up to 20 and the lineman he's talking about, JC Latham is there. We're really lucky. Most of the time, if we sit where we're at, we can get Kool-Aid. And with the writing on the walls right now, we're either going to get a defensive lineman or we're getting a safety in this draft. Number one.
And 2, you know, I'll go off of that too. And it's like, you know, you look at John Lynch when he played, he had an amazing front 7. Just amazing. With Derek Brooks. Derek Brooks at linebacker, stuff like that. But the difference is, you know, like, and I get it, like, you know, your secondary is only as good as your pass rush. But nowadays, like we talked about earlier, David, when you sit there and you can't touch them after the 5 yards, all you have to do is slant this. You know, like everything's just a quick throw nowadays. So now, like, I get it. Like, you want your defensive line beefed up and stuff too. But it's really time too. Like you said Kool-Aid. I think it's time. We haven't had don't get me wrong, Charvarius Ward's good. We haven't had an elite corner in a long time. Like, you know, and I think if you look at it, you know, when we're not getting any pressure, we get picked apart. We get picked apart. You saw that last year, you know, and when teams were just like, you know, when our D line wasn't getting any pressure for a few games and stuff like that. So, you know, I personally would love an offensive lineman too, but at this point, you know, if you're gonna not trade up and stuff like that, I'd rather draft best player available than reach for need.
Yeah.
Like if they're like if all your tackles, if all your tackles, and I think personally, like I think we did that with Kinlaw. You knew the medical history. You knew what was going on. Yeah, he was a great college player. You lose Buckner. Oh, let me draft his replacement. Didn't work out. Like, you know, staying at 31, which I don't think we do. I'm agreeing with all you. I think I wouldn't be surprised even if all their players are gone. It says so deep. They might even trade back a little bit. Honestly.
Yeah.
Like,
That's an option.
From 31 to like 36 or whatever the case may be, depending on who's on the board. But yeah, like, you know, like Bryant was saying, like, you know, if we're sitting there and Kool-Aid is there at 31, if he's, you know, predicted to go in the top 15, top 20, and he's there, but you pick an offensive lineman that's like 37th on your board, and you're reaching. You know what I'm saying? So it's gonna be interesting, man. Like, I just don't see a scenario unless there's somebody traded. I don't see a scenario where we have a starting tackle or guard coming into 2024. However, you see somebody you like a Tyler Guyton, which you got to trade up for too. That's somebody who I think could start. A Latham can start, but what are you willing to give up to move up to get those guys?
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I think right now though, we have to in the first 2 rounds, we have to draft replacements because once Trent Williams is gone, man, and like I said, our depth is not good. Like,
Yeah.
it's funny to me, like, we're wasting time with this Alfredo Gutierrez guy, the international prospect. Dude's been in the building 5-7 years. If he hasn't got it now, he won't get it. You know what I'm saying? He
I know
won't get it.
it's a feel good story.
Yeah, but
And I love, the feel good stories,
come
but
on.
we're in the business of winning championships here.
Exactly.
Isn't he
You
like
can-
pushing
you can
30
feel
at this
good.
point too?
Yeah, I mean,
Letting
he's
us-
been with us since
yeah.
Colin has been here. So what, 7
Yeah.
years, whatever.
Yeah.
How old is this dude?
Exactly.
You know what I'm
So,
saying? So go ahead,
if
Brian.
he's a foreign exchange student, right? Basically,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And
Foreign
we're
exchange
not
student.
we're not
I
using
know what he
him,
meant.
right? Right? We're not using him. Then why aren't we getting a different one
Bryce,
every other year? Right? Like,
Yeah, no, seriously.
you
Yeah.
didn't work out. We're gonna get another guy next year. You worked out, okay, you got to play. But what the sad thing is even in the Mexico game, we didn't let him play. We
Exactly.
didn't even let him suit up.
didn't
we
even
did
have
not
to suit
even let
up.
him
That was
suit up.
terrible. And we blew Arizona out that game. That was a perfect opportunity for him to get some run in front of his family,
Get
his
him
home
on the
country.
field.
Exactly.
He's
I
a
agree with you
he's
guys.
a mammoth of a man.
He's like
but he's
6'8", ain't he?
28 years old.
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
looked it
Oh, he's
up.
28?
I just looked it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I
yeah,
don't.
if he's just taking up a roster spot, hey, let's
He
move
doesn't
on. Let's
count
bring
against the
some
roster,
guys
though.
here.
No, he does. He doesn't because
true.
he's international, but at the same
Yeah,
time, it's
exactly.
like, you're wasting reps and stuff on
Right.
some, stuff like that. It's like, he can if he's really not that good, I don't care about his reps. Like, if you really don't see him play, dude's been on the team for 7 years and can't even get in when we're in his country.
Yeah.
So take his reps
Like-
away and give them to somebody else who can contribute to this team. Because being
Exactly.
here 7 years and you can't get in, you're wasting.
Like
It's not a
that-
spot. You're right. He's not wasting a spot, but he's wasting reps.
Mhm.
DC.
That's true.
Foreign exchange.
But yeah, we still have a lot.
I'm gonna go to bed
exciting
laughing
stuff
at that one.
coming up.
It's like we could just get a different one every other year, though. Like,
Yeah.
if you're not working out, then
And-
why
and
are we
you know, I,
coming back? It's like you got a permanent job in America with us, and it's like
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like I don't know.
I was just thinking of that. Like, isn't there someone else maybe we could have scouted that's out there that we could bring in for a tryout and say, hey, can you beat this guy out? Are you
Exactly.
better? Do you have better footwork, technique, whatever? Like, there's more than just Alberto Gutierrez out there.
Exactly.
Is there anybody from
let's-
Canada? You
Exactly.
know?
Is there Canadian
Exactly.
football league players? There's somebody in Germany. Who knows? Like, there has to be
Exactly.
somebody else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Canada, they'll get here. They'll order bacon. And they'll be like, "What's this?"
I know. Right?
Well, the way the league's going, we're going CFL anyway. We might be getting tackles.
You
from
know
over
what I
there to play
mean?
this game.
Yep.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. But hey, does anyone else have anything they want to talk about before we, end it? We're over an hour.
Yeah, I'll just say a couple things. I appreciate you guys having me on here. I don't know what was wrong with my chat. I couldn't get on, but appreciate all the people that, were giving me compliments on my hat and my career. I love being a youth counselor. I always tell the kids, you guys are our future, and I care about my future. So,
Mhm.
you guys are going to be the ones out there, being CEOs, making decisions, stuff like that. So, if I can make you better people, we'll have a better country. You know what I mean?
There you go.
So, yeah. So on top of that, like I kind of touched on it when I was talking about the draft, like, other than other than quarterback and stuff like that, and probably running back. When we're there, if we don't trade up, we stay at 31. Just get the best player available. I don't care if it's a wide receiver. I don't care what it is. Like, because I want the when it comes down to it, I want our first pick to hit. And when
Yeah.
you start reaching for knee, that's what gets you in trouble in the future. So just
Yep.
get the best player available. You sign Juwan Jennings to a 1-year deal, which is, to me, is crazy. We talked about this, Ty. Get him in a
Mhm.
3-year, $18 million contract. He's deserved it. He deserves it.
Yep.
This 1-year rentals and stuff like that, to me, it's cool. He's getting paid more every year, which is your ultimate goal when you have a job. Make more
Yeah.
money the next year. But man, where's the stability for this man
Exactly.
that brings his lunch every day and physical and stuff like that. So yeah, like I said, if it's a receiver, so be it. If it's a corner, I would love it. You can because our cornerback room hasn't really proved anything yet. I'm a Wolverines fan. Ambry Thomas has been disappointing
That's your
so
guy.
far.
Yeah.
But then you sit there and you draft these 5th-round picks, and which is great because Delmer Lenore worked out. But will Daryl Luter end up being that? We don't know.
Don't
I
know.
would just, like I said,
Yeah.
just bring in the best player available at this point. And of course, much as I would love to draft the offensive tackle, if he's there, like let's just say you had an offensive tackle, 28th best player on your board, he falls to 31, then you take him. You know what I'm saying? If he's predicted to go earlier, so that's what I would have to say. Steve-O, you're wrong. This show was elite. Talking about just a
Exactly,
good
man.
show. I don't
You
know
don't know
what
what you're
you
talking
watched.
about.
I don't know what you watched, but for the
Get
last
out of here.
hour and 20 minutes, this show's been elite. So I don't know what
Exactly.
you're talking about, brother. But anyway, so yeah, I appreciate you
I'm
guys.
gonna
And
take
yeah,
away your faithful card. What are you
there you
talking
go.
about?
But that's all I have to say. And the draft is coming up pretty soon. It's a month away.
Yeah.
It's a month away. So, I hope that we have some good scouting going on. And man, if we go D tackle, I'm gonna be very disappointed though. That's one other position that would probably disappoint me. But other than that,
Yeah.
hey.
Yeah. I would like to see the same way we attacked the defensive line, in free agency. We showed some urgency there. All right, we need to improve this. That's the way I want to see the offensive line attacked. I would like them to see them say, all right, you know what? The offensive line, I get it. It's good. It helped us get to the Super Bowl. Yay. But there's room for improvement. Let's attack center. Let's attack right guard. Let's attack right tackle. Let's see how much better we can get at those positions if possible. And as TL hit the nail on the head, Trent Williams ain't getting younger. Be smart and get his replacement now. And get him a cheap guy on that rookie deal that you could develop, that is going to be, this guy's got it. If it's possible, move up, trade up, get him. But some action needs to happen there.
I agree. Bryant?
Oh, I'm like right with you guys. Best player available, because right now, let's keep it going. We're really close to get into it. People say, like Kyle's lost 3. Well, look at his quarterback stuff. You look at Andy Reid, he's lost a couple Super Bowls. So has his new quarterback, Patrick Mahomes, and he's lost it with Andy. So don't say like Kyle got really close. It got really close. This year was a really special year. I think Brock coming back and just, everybody coming back, it's got a really good chance. I think it's funny. Everybody, like with the way football's going, everybody back in my day when I was playing football, everybody was like defense, like defense wins championships. And people always had that argument with, offense. And I always like to say special teams. You have to be a special team to win a championship, right? And, special teams, right? But it's funny because my dad wanted me to be a kicker because I had gotten run over by a truck when I was younger. And he's like, maybe getting hit, concussion might not be a good thing for you. So again, I was a 3rd string quarterback and I was a kicker. And I didn't get to play quarterback. I was too short. So again, I think right now, if you got a kid, a little one, and he's going to play football or aspirations, you have teach him how to block. If you can get somebody on the offensive line and get a career there, I think that's really the way to go. You look at the defensive line in free agency. We were able to pick up the defensive line. We weren't able to get in the O. Why weren't we able to get the offensive line? Because either there's not enough good ones out there, or they're too expensive. And so right now, guys, thank you though. I had a lot of fun.
This was a fun one. Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah, Pop Warner.
You're about to get muted, Kenny. It's close.
Yeah, you're funny. Hey, Brian, it's funny you say that too, because I was listening to an interview last year with Jamal Charles. You guys remember him?
Oh yeah.
And Jamal Charles was like,
Charles.
man, growing up, I was such a beast at running back. When I went to Texas in high school, he goes, I kept hearing people around me say, no, learn how to be a receiver. And he was like, I wish I would have listened because those are
Mhm.
the positions where you're at. Like to me, it's like, the way the NFL is going, like if you're not an Alvin Kamara, Christian McCaffrey type of running back,
Yeah.
like you have to be that guy who can catch now and not just be a bruiser. Like Derrick Henry has made a career out of it, but there's
Mhm.
not too many guys that can take that many hits because he's so
Ain't
big
built like him.
and
Yeah.
built like him.
Yeah.
So so many guys that can, the old school running backs were just even going away. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like they're
Yep.
they're looking at them like playing 4 or 5 years, and nope, I'm not paying you. So yeah, you have to be like that special kind of guy. So yeah, you're right. If you have a kid growing up, have him be a versatile weapon like a Christian McCaffrey at running back, or have him be a receiver or something like that, because that's where the money's at, and that's usually where the longevity is, unless you can throw that thing. Obviously, a quarterback, but if you
Mhm.
can't, those are the positions now that are like that are now to me are the most important on the NFL roster, other than the quarterback. You know what I mean? As far as getting the ball out and stuff. So, yeah, I agree with you, Bryant.
Well, yeah, I
Well,
appreciate that. If
Yeah.
you look at George Kittle real quick, his dad, I think, started teaching him how to play offensive line. And from
yeah.
there, he just, was an awesome football player, so he could catch too. But that's one reason he can block so well is because his dad got out
Mhm.
there and started teaching him the fundamentals.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
Well, with the new defensive rule, turnovers, that could be the big game decider, the big game, impact players on defense are going to be guys that get a lot of turnovers, force a lot of fumbles, interceptions. I mean, but at this point, they can't really tackle anymore. So now they're going to be like train wrecking pulls just to drop them without wrapping them up.
Yep.
We'll see what happens, right?
It's terrible.
But shout out to the chat. Teran, thanks for coming, buddy. I
For
very
sure,
much
man.
appreciate
Appreciate
you
that.
being our guest today. We got my guy Bryant and my guy Ty. We're out of here, folks. It's always go Niners. And as Corey Davis would say, F all 31 other teams.